Virgil,
You've been incorporated with Danny's camp. Tell me how that's been and how have you seen him progress in this camp?
Well, I opened up the gym to Andre and Danny. That's what they wanted. They wanted to get out of New York and, away from distractions and, come to the West Coast where it's a little warmer. And by Andre and I being friends for, over 20 years, he called me, of course. I opened it up to him. As far as I see, they're preparing pretty well.
I guess what's being worked on, and what are it's like the type of knowledge you're providing Danny coming into this fight? Like, how are you being incorporated in the camp?
Well, not in that capacity.
Mm-hmm.
He has a coach.
Yeah.
So I'm more or less just here, watch. It just hasn't been that deep, They have this system, and I open the doors, and if I'm here, I observe their work, and he's doing quite well, and but not interjecting myself into anything, or as far as being asked or as far as asking.
How do you really see the fight going?
It's hard to say. He's got a formidable opponent, of course, in GGG. But he does have some attributes that Golovkin might not have seen in the pros. With his extensive amateur career, I'm sure he's seen bits and pieces of it. But he does have the athleticism, the speed, and he can punch. To make it interesting, on paper, you would say Golovkin, but I think could be a fight where you expect Golovkin to win, but anything can happen. If you look at even the Quillen fight, things happen real quick. So I think the best that I could say is he's more formidable than maybe anybody's faced so far as a pro.
What I really want to see is how both of them react to each other's punches. And I could see them both wanting to test that out right away, very early in the fight. What do you think?
That's a possibility, but you don't want to be careless either, early in a fight. So it could unfold a number of ways, I think. But I think if you get right to it, both men are vulnerable. If you get right to it, you're still cold. I don't care how you warm up. You're still cold until you start taking the punches.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so I wouldn't advise my guy to go right out and just rock him, sock him. But because anything can happen.
Yeah.
He has the attributes to make it an interesting fight. It just depends on where his head is.
A lot of people have made or brought up the point of Danny being knocked down by Mora and by P-Rog, and then they make the comparison. Well, look at Gennady. He knocks everybody down. He knocks everybody out. They cite that as a huge factor in the fight. What do you make of all that talk?
I think what people should remember is that that's not the same kid. I think what people should remember is we're talking about a kid who had some things going on with him that he didn't know. We're talking about a kid who had to crawl to the door to open it before he knew what was wrong with him. We're talking about a kid that the doctor told his fiancée that if it had been a couple days later, he'd have been dead. And we're also talking about a kid that the doctor told him he wouldn't walk, and he defied medical science and the doctor. We're also talking about a kid that said, walk, box, you're lucky if you walk. And he defied medical science. So that defiance and that strength and that endurance, that's in him. He's proven that the toughest thing ever in his life, pain, the uncertainty, the unknown, he defied it. And he just didn't defy anybody, he defied medical science. Medical science says that everybody who has what he has is semi-confined to a wheelchair, yet today he's fighting. So that's in him. So I wouldn't underestimate that. That's after Pirog. So that level of defiance and that mentality and going through that type of pain. See, if his mind is in the right place that night and his mind is made up, he might not feel nothing. See, he might not feel a thing. And it's not just something that you can overlook. All fighters at his age has a fight in them that comes up at the right time. He hasn't shown that fight yet. He might show up.
A lot of people have brought up that point you made and saying that you've already faced the hardest, most difficult thing anybody could face ever, and you overcame it. And they say, you know, in that department, they feel that even though Golovkin and every fighter is mentally strong, it takes a level of mental fortitude to step in. But they say that Danny, though, because of all those experiences, really has an edge they feel in that department.
If it's cultivated right, he has a big edge.
Yeah.
If they're able to use it right, he has a big edge. You know. So time will tell.
Yeah.